Welcome back to the Aro Benaiah Show, the podcast where we celebrate the stories of blue-collar entrepreneurs, street people, and hands-on leaders who inspire the next generation. Today, I'm honored to sit with Jody, a Canadian farmer, sales expert, and author of Country Boy Soul. Jody's life has been a journey of resilience from growing up on a farm, losing his father at age 20, navigating bankruptcy and near-death experience, to finding joy and success in agriculture, sales, and storytelling. His story isn't just about survival, it's about growth, perseverance, and leaving a legacy. Let's dive into it. Once again, the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm humbled to be on your show, Aro.
It's a pleasure having you here, sir. All right. What was it like growing up for you?
I was very lucky, Aro. I grew up in a great family home with a mom and a dad who loved us and were kind and warm and loving and gentle. And I was surrounded by a community of like-minded people. We went to church every Sunday. We had a big community around us. It's a small place in the farming community in Huron County and on Lake Huron in Ontario and Canada. And it was a very, very nice upbringing. Anybody who's watched American television, it was a bit like Walton Mountain, I would say. So we had a big family around us. My grandparents lived next door to us. It was I was very, very, very lucky. Yeah.
Wow, that was amazing. All right. All right. Can you share your favorite childhood memories that still influence the way you handle challenge?
Sure, sure. So yeah, I guess from the early onset of my life, I was the second oldest kid of six. And
Oh,
my parents were young when they were married, so they were still fairly young. And we had quite a growing farm operation. So right out of the gate, I worked with my dad quite often. When I was 7 or 8 years old, I was in the barn at 9 or 10 years old. I was getting up at 6:30 in the morning before school and going to do chores in the morning. Every day, my dad would come down the hallway to wake me up, and I was already awake. I was ready to go.
wow.
I I loved working in the barn with my dad. It was a great job. I have a funny story of we had a barn where we had two halves of the barn that we both had to clean with a shovel, and every day he would say, "Yeah, you go ahead and you start." And when I was young, I was small, and he was much bigger than me, and we would shovel away, and he would catch up to me, of course, and I would only be done about a quarter of the barn, he'd be done three-quarters. But over time, I got faster and taller and stronger and faster. And one day he said to me, "You know, you're getting pretty good at this. Maybe today we should have a race to see who gets done first." And so I raced through my half of the barn, making sure I did a good job. And I jumped out of the last pen and I handed him the shovel and I said, "I beat you." And he said, "You know what, kid? You're right. Guess what? This is your job now. All of it going forward." So my dad did the old switch on me there, which was clever because he wanted me to work hard and do a good job, but also, he handed me some responsibility. So
Yeah.
yeah, full stop. I was really, really fortunate to have such a wonderful upbringing. So, there are lots of other memories of times when my parents would be around the kitchen table and we'd all be having supper. And one particular story comes to mind where my dad, I'd always sit in the same place, and each day for a few days in a row, I'd pick my fork up to eat, and it had tines that were bent. And I never liked tines that were bent. I wanted straight tines. Everybody else had straight tines. Why were mine bent? So I complained to my mom, and she'd be like, "Well, I'll just go back and put it into the drawer and get one that's straight." So I'd get one up. But the next day I'd have the same fork. And every day I had the same fork. And if I looked at my dad and I thought, "You were putting this fork beside my plate on purpose." So I thought, I'm not going to let my dad get me this time. So the next night I got there and the same fork was there. And I took the fork and I walked out into the field. I walked out of the house, walked across the laneway, and I threw the fork into the field of corn that was about 4 or 5 feet tall. And I came back in the house and everybody laughed and thought it was pretty funny. And the next night, I sat down and there was the fork. My dad went out to the
Woo!
field to find it and brought it back. And we all laughed and it was really, really funny. So yeah, those are some memories of when I was younger, just of the real closeness we had as a family. It was really, really a nice upbringing. So
Wow, that was quite amazing. And the fact that you actually even work in the band, it's now becoming, because I discover a whole lot of young persons today. It's difficult for them to work with their parents, especially on such kind of job that is very, very demanding. And because me, I grew up in a farmland too. My parents were into a whole lot of they plant a whole lot of crops in large hectares of land. So and the fact that the way you're actually sharing the experience, it looked very, very lovely and interesting, that in a way I want to just be in that particular family and be part of the family. What was the system that you actually used to inspire you and the other kids to get to work actively in the farm? Or still, in fact, you want to show up very early before you even show up.
yeah, I guess so. I think what you're asking me is what did my parents do to inspire us to go further
Yes,
than
yes.
right? Yeah. So, um, as much as it was really a great and warm and kind environment, my parents though actually just gave us a lot of rope and said, "You guys make your own choices." Like it's not like my parents
Hmm.
said they were really strict. Like they let us make mistakes. They let us do dumb things. Like my brother and I had motorcycles and we took risks and did all sorts of crazy things and growing up and in high school, I wasn't a great student. I didn't really like school that much, and I didn't really want to apply myself. My sisters were good students, but I wasn't a good student. I was smart enough to pass, but I didn't want to apply myself. So I got to finishing grade high school, and I said to my dad, I guess I'm going to come home and farm with you. And he said, you know what? You're not quite grown up enough yet. Why don't you go to college for 2 years and take a degree in agriculture? And so I said, okay, sure. Then I didn't fight it because I thought, sure, why not? And he was young. He was only 39 years old or 40 years old at the time. And so I went to college. And in the second year of college, I thought, geez, you know what? I see these other guys getting jobs. Maybe I should just go get a job instead of working for my dad or working with my dad. And I asked my dad about that. He's like, "Yeah, that's a great idea. Everybody
Wow.
should leave the farm, and if you decide you want to come back, it's better than just being forced to come back, or
Hmm.
not having a choice." So I decided to get a job, and within 6 months of that decision, when I was 19 years old, my dad got lung cancer, and
Oh,
within one year, he passed away.
ooh.
And yeah, and my life completely turned upside down. I thought I was, going to farm with my parents and I was going to get married and live beside them just like their parents lived beside them. And everybody was going to live happily ever after. And that did not happen. So, um, you, uh, you are made as a person not from your successes often. You're made from what you've been challenged by. That's what makes us as
Yeah.
people. And so I was completely naive, very young, but I had to be forced to grow up pretty quick. So my mom at the time I had two brothers and sisters. I had five brothers and sisters, but two of them were age 3 and 5 when my dad passed away. And so at that time, she couldn't stay home anymore. She had to leave the farm because it was just too much memories, too many people asking her all the time how you're doing, and just too sad of a place. And so
Yeah.
she said, "Hey, if you're going to farm, kid, then I'm selling the farm right now." And I was not ready to take over the whole farm by myself at age 20. And so we basically broke the farm into smaller pieces, and I took one piece and I started to farm. And it was really, really, really tough. Working with your dad and your parents, and they do a lot of things you don't even realize what's happening. And I had to learn it all myself quick.
Yeah.
And it was an enormous challenge. I mean, being a farmer it's a challenging job by itself without having the additional stress of having to learn everything on your own. And I didn't help myself I instantly got married and instantly started having children. And by the time I was 30 years old, I had 4 kids under 7 years old. And I was running this
Wow.
farm full time. And it was an enormous amount of responsibility for still a relatively young guy.
Yeah.
And now, you know what, I was actually doing it. I was actually pulling it off. And so yeah, that's kind of the start of it. And I guess,
Wow.
how did I succeed? And this is a message for the listeners,
Yeah.
is it mattered to me, so I consumed everything in my path information wise to learn to be better. I was never satisfied with where I was. I always wanted to be better. I found a few key figures and a few advisors to follow, and I took their advice. I didn't waffle. I was hungry for information and ready to learn, and I took their advice and I took off. And that's that there's a message there for people. Like, there's people that
Yeah.
ask for advice but really don't want it, or ask for advice and say, well, I want something easier because that's too hard to work. I want the easy route. There is no easy way to
Personally.
gain success. It's just
Yeah.
through hard work and desire and straight determination. So that's kind of how I got my feet underneath me, and I actually got the farm off the ground and made it profitable, and things were going good for a while.
Wow. Wow. That was super admiring. Like the fact that you were forced to grow up, and coupled with that, you just got married straight and started on your own. That was a whole lot of determination, and being able to pass through a whole lot of those ups and downs, which wasn't easy. All right,
Yeah.
there's this your father's quotes here that your father's word, it's all look good from the road, son. Seems to carry deep meanings. How has this phrase guided you through life, through those ups and downs?
So my dad died in 1986. In 1986, I don't believe there was any social media. But if there's a saying that makes more sense today than it did 40 years ago, it all looks good from the road. What it meant back then was, if we were together in the car or the truck driving down the road, my parents and I, and my dad would look at a farm and we would look at the farm, and we would look at somebody's house and say, "Oh my gosh, look at their house. They have a new car, they have a swimming pool, they have a much bigger house than ours. They go on vacations. They're way happier than us. Uh, our life is not good enough. Why aren't we as good as them?"
Mm,
And my dad would always say, "You know what, son, it all looks good from the road, but you have no idea what's happening in that house."
mm,
And social media today is exactly like that. We all want to use social media, and I'm just as guilty as everyone, to post things that we're proud of, that we're happy about, that we want to sort of show off about, things that happen for our family or parties or celebrations or achievements or things. And the truth is, your life is not made up of what you put on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. It's made up of what you don't put on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. So when you lose your job, or when you get divorced, or when you gain 50 pounds, or you start smoking again, or you get caught cheating, something bad happens, you have to take a path after that. Basically, that's when your life happens. So you have a choice at that point. And so the that all looks good from the road, son, is more meaningful today than ever before because so many of us are spending our time looking at social media thinking, well, geez, why don't I have that? Well, that guy seems so happy. Well, we don't know that. Or that lady seems so happy. Or that family seems so perfect. Well, we don't know how perfect they are. Everybody's normal. And everybody goes through ups and downs. And it's the downs that make you as a person. And so it's important to not lose perspective. And sometimes
Yeah.
we do lose perspective when we just concentrate so much on social media, and it's challenging. It's very challenging. It's very addictive, and the guys who run it, the companies who run it, are very clever. They give us what we want. They scratch that itch, and then we want more and more, and we just go further and further down the rabbit hole. And the next thing you know, we're really not living in a world that's really realistic. So
Wow, this is very very encouraging and inspiring, especially for our blue collar entrepreneurs who do handy job, who sometimes the difficulty of those handy job are very very demanding, and it's easier to compare themselves with others who does other job and like, that person is having, yeah, really a pretty life, not knowing what not knowing what demand that one holds. So let's say those who do white collar job, they might say, yeah, their job is pretty easy. What they do is just spreadsheet and others, not knowing that the demand it take them to meet some things. It's even better to be on your own space than, yeah. Because even me, I have this particular song that actually more like replay often that just keep my sanity when those comparisons become much. And I think once one of the line of the song said, "The land look green from the other side."
yeah, it does. It always looks great. It always looks great. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
it all look green from the other side until you take the ride and discover that it's not actually green. It's someone that is watering it that make it green.
That's right. That's for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right, thank you. All right, you have done a variety of job, from that of farming to sales, and how did these different shape your understanding of work and resilience?
Um, so I think your question was how do I use resilience and get through these various roles in my life to get
Yeah,
success?
various roles. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, to wind the clock back to when I was a kid again. So I remember when I was 7 or 8 years old, my dad saying to me, "If you don't do good in school, kid, you're going to turn out to be an underwear salesman." Or if you don't do a good job, you're going to turn out to be an underwear salesman. I have no idea what an underwear salesman was, but all I knew was in my head, salesman, the last part of it was bad. So I thought, I never want to be a salesman because that sounds like a bad thing. So as I grew up and got older and I started to farm, within 2 years of me farming, people started asking me to come and work for them to do sales because they say you really can connect with people well, you're really good with people, people like you're a smart guy, you're a good producer, you have knowledge. I think you could be really good. And I laughed them out of my house. I said, I'm never going to be a salesman. I'm a farmer. And I kept saying no over and over and over again. And ironically, in around 1998, there was a time when my life kind of came to an impasse where basically my farm life, things were not going well. I was struggling with my marriage because my partner at the time was not really supportive of the farm. And we had marital difficulties because we just got married at too young of an age and we weren't really compatible. And there was other issues there. And, so that wasn't helpful. But the farming had become very difficult and struggle. And the lure of a sales job or just a job where you got paid got pretty attractive. And people started telling me over and over again, just stop farming and come work for me. So I sort of interviewed with a company and I almost took their sales job. And on the way home again, though, I was thinking in my head, "Ah, geez, I don't want to be a salesman." And I stopped in at an equipment dealership, and the manager of the equipment dealership said, Why are you dressed up in a suit today, Jody?" And I said, "Well, I just came home from a job interview, and I sort of accepted a job in sales." And he's like, "Oh, I don't do that. Come work for me." And I said, "Jerry, why would I work for you?" And he's like, "Well, because I want you to manage my equipment dealership." And I said, "I don't know anything about managing equipment dealerships." He's like, "You're a smart guy. You're a good guy. I know you. You know your numbers. You get along well with people. I think you'll be good at this job." And so I took the easy way out. I said, "Okay, great. I don't have to be a salesman. I can go manage." And so I worked for this guy for a year, and I learned a tremendous amount of stuff, but it wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me. And that was good because sometimes in life you actually have to do things to know that
Yeah,
they're not for you. Like in life
yeah,
is not a straight line. We go down and we go up and we go left and we go right, and sometimes you take 5 years to get to the conclusion that something doesn't work. So don't feel bad if you're on that path right now, because life is long. We live to we're 80 or 100, so we got time. And so I took this job and it didn't work out. And I almost took the sales job, but then I took a 180-degree turn in my life. And this is all in my book. And I decided, Aro, to own and operate a telemarketing call center.
wow,
So it's an outbound telemarketing call center, which is just crazy. Like I knew nothing about that whole world. I knew nothing about phone sales. I knew nothing about operating a telemarketing call center. I knew nothing about contracts and any of those things. But I trusted somebody, and next thing you know, we were on the phone. "Hello, Aro Kihinde. It's Jody calling from AT&T, and I've got a great deal for you on cell phones." And so we took off on this journey for 3 years. And in that 3 year period, I learned more about myself than I've ever done in my whole life. And it's a long and sad story. So I mean, yeah, this challenge in my life when I lost my dad was pretty tough when I was 20, and
yeah.
then going through a tough marriage and stopping farming was pretty tough in my late 30s, and then starting this call center in my 40s was also extremely challenging. And so, unfortunately for me, we had one client at the call center that we did work for, and we were profitable, but that one client was not honest and not ethical, and they didn't pay us. And in our first year in business, they we made money on the books, but they didn't pay us almost $100,000. So that was
We,
$100,000 that we should have got paid. We didn't. And they said, "Oh no, you didn't do a good job on the sales, or something happened on the back end, or just some nonsense." And because we were there, that was my only client. I couldn't really fight back. That was the only place that was giving me work to keep my people working. So I just fought with them and kept working for them. Well, the second year they stiffed us for like almost $200,000,
ouch.
and that was just too much. And right in the middle of that second year, 9/11 hit. So when 9/11 hit, the whole world changed. And at that point, the call center just died. Like, we had no business. Nobody wanted to talk on the phone anymore. Nobody wanted to buy anything. The world was a scary place, especially in the United States. And we were in Canada, and we were calling the United States doing business. So my world, woof, just the floor fell out from underneath us, and the business just kept falling. And I just kept pushing forward. And I put all the money I ever had in my whole entire life, all the money from the farming, all the money I made, everything I had, all my investments, all my savings, everything on the line to try to save this business. And when I thought it couldn't get worse, my mom died in a car accident
Ooh, that was a
at
lot.
age 60. So here I was about 40 years old and my mom died. And I'll tell you, Aro, it was as bad as you could think. Like I remember thinking to myself, like I'm a pretty positive, upbeat guy. But I remember thinking to myself, if I got run over by a car today, that would be best for my family because I'm just a loser. Like
Mm.
I can't win. I can't do anything right. I can't make this work. I have 4 kids that need support and love and money and food and shelter, and I can't provide it for them. And ironically, I was towards the end of the call center experience. I thought I had the business sold. I thought, well, I'll get out of here with a little tiny bit of money. And I thought I had it sold to another guy, another company. And I was driving home after I visited him, and I realized he wasn't going to buy the company. And I was just done. I was just, my life cannot possibly get any worse. And I was driving down the freeway, the 2 lanes with trucks, going back by my
Yeah.
side. And my front tire fell off of my car.
Ooh.
The front tire fell off, and I was skidding across the lanes, and the trucks were going past me. And I thought for a second, you know what? I'm going to get killed here. Thank God my kids are going to get money and they're going to be okay. And maybe this will be the best ending of all. And you know what? God put his hand down on my car and steered it between those lanes, and I hit the gravel and came to a
Ooh.
stop. I wasn't hit by anything, and my tire went bouncing by me into the into
Wow.
the road, into the ditch. And I thought, the tire looked so happy, and I was so upset. And that is the absolute bottom. In my book, I call it the triple
Wow.
bottom. You didn't think it could get any worse. You were out of money and the business was dead and your mom died. But no, that was the triple bottom where I almost got killed on the road. So, yes.
Wow. That was a lot of, will I say, hectic experience. That looking back, that could actually more like send some good bones into your chip. Be like, wow, I actually went through that. Like you just sharing it just look more like a real scene, and I'm like feeling every vibration of every of those particular statements. It was really a lot. It was really a lot.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so more like, which, looking back now, which job or experience taught you most about perseverance, and why?
Well, so basically at that point in my life, I was finished. I had to sell my house, go bankrupt. I got divorced.
Ooh.
It was all terrible. And I decided to say yes to sales. And, for the first time in my whole life, I absolutely exceeded expectations. Like in the first 6 months on the job at the first company I worked for, I sold more new accounts than they had seen in 35 years. They had never
Ooh.
had a salesman come on board that sold so many accounts. I was just a natural at it. And so why was I a natural at it? Because of all the life experiences along the way.
Yeah.
So first of all, I was a farmer. So I knew every side of that business upside down and inside out. Then I worked at this telemarketing call center. I saw successful salesmen, how they operated, how they spoke, what energy they brought to the table. And third, I was hungry. I was literally hungry and figuratively hungry. I needed food for my kids, I needed money to survive. And the sales job was just the right place at the right
Yeah.
time. And I absolutely took off like a rocket. And that's what I've been doing for the last 25 years. And so,
Wow.
Yeah, that I mean, so what did I learn from all that? That first of all, no one goes through this life unscathed. Everybody gets bumps and
Yeah,
bruises. I would like to say I've got a few more bumps and bruises than most, but I'm sure there's people that have it worse than me. But the bottom line is, it's not your bumps and bruises and it's not your successes. It's how you react to
yeah,
situations that make you as a person,
yeah,
that determine your path. And
yeah.
so now and the whole while I remain very grateful, and honestly, this is the from the bottom of my heart the truth. Arl, I'm not special. I'm just full disclosure. You can see by the camera, I'm a white guy that lives in North America, so I'm in the top of the world privilege wise. I have more resources than most people have in the world, but I'm not special. I don't deserve to be here any more than some guy who lives or a person who lives in a cave with no running water
Yeah.
and getting shot at every day. I'm just the same. I'm just the same. I don't deserve to be here any more than they deserve to be there. So I better damn well be grateful that I have this opportunity. So I'm grabbing it with both hands and running forward and taking advantage of what I've been given. And it's worked really well for me. It has.
Wow, that was super amazing. And I think from your story too, it just I think it just there's a particular quote that comes to mind where you make reference of this that life may throw many things at you. It's at the end of the day, it's going to be what you make out of it that actually counts. Because you are going to pass through a whole lot of different stuff at different times. But at the end of the day, what you make out of it is what counts. And the fact that I think you make reference of doing a whole lot of different other job really speak volume to uh just exploring one or two, three different other jobs. You get to know which one you like. And also doing more like something that involve blue collar entrepreneur, like working the farmland, the diligence that is being involved, the hard work and everything. It just shows that if one actually put that same energy in doing other different work with that same diligence, that same perseverance, that same, I think it can actually make a whole lot of deal compared to those who have more actually more like passed through the regiment of those farming procedures and many other kind of work.
That's right. That's right. I think the best thing in the world you can do is take advantage of every opportunity that you've been given
Yeah,
because even if things are bad, you are learning things about yourself and you're learning things about the world that you can take advantage of. You have no
yeah,
idea where your life is going. So all the time standing there, when I was a little kid listening to my dad telling me about this is how you do this on the farm and this is how you do this. I didn't know if I wanted to be a farmer. Actually, my little brother probably wanted to farm more than I did. He really
mm,
wanted to be the farm, but unfortunately, when my dad passed away, my little brother was only 14, and my mom was going to move away, so it was up to me to do it, or it was just going to
yeah,
go. So it just it just happens in life sometimes, but you just have to take advantage of the opportunities you're given, no matter how crappy your job is or how crappy your situation is. And this goes right down to your personal situation. If you're in a marriage that's not working, look at yourself. Look at yourself and ask yourself, what can I do? What can I do to change this situation? Because you could ask all day to for your wife to change this or your kids to just change their behaviors, or you can look in the mirror. And the guy in the mirror is the only guy you really can change. And that's it. That's it in a nutshell.
yeah,
So nobody wants to really hear that. They want to hear, well, I'm going to go to a counselor, fix my wife. The
yeah,
counselor is not an auto mechanic. He's not going to do an oil change on your wife and she'll turn around and turn into somebody that's happy with you.
yeah,
It's up to you to figure that out. And yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy.
yeah. It
It's
isn't.
difficult.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, you have written your book. Boy, so it must have been reflective. What is the most surprising thing you discovered about yourself while you were writing that particular book? While you were writing your book, tell us about the book also, and tell us about how your reflective journey came into being while writing it, because you will get to discover a whole lot of things once you start putting down things.
Sure, sure. So I decided to write this book last year. So it's kind of a story of my life up to 2005. So you ask yourself, well, if your life, if that's what you wrote about, why didn't you write the book in 2005? Because in 2005, I wasn't, my ship was not righted yet. I was still kind of sinking or barely listing along, and I wasn't really doing well yet, succeeding in life. I felt an enormous responsibility to my kids to do better. And so I worked extremely hard for the next 20 years to get my life in a place where I'm proud of it now. And so I wasn't ready to write the book, quite honestly. I knew that there was a lot of interesting stories, and people often said, man, the stuff you've been through, like all this crazy at the call center. And, I once traveled in an airplane and sat beside Zig Ziglar, who is a
Way,
well, yeah, you know who Zig Ziglar is.
yes, 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 I do. I've read some of
Yeah,
his works.
yeah, it's crazy. Like here I was 20 years old working at a company, and I got in a plane and flew to California, and I didn't even know how to fly in a plane properly. I sat in, it was three people in three seats, and Zig Ziglar was on the end row and I was on the middle, but I could have sat
Wow.
by the window, but I didn't know I couldn't sit anywhere. I thought I had to sit in my seat. I had never flown in an airplane before. So I sat down beside this guy, and he looked at me. He didn't say anything. He could have said, "Hey kid, move." But he didn't. And he was friendly and kind, and we talked for 4 hours. And he handed me his card, and I thought, "What a weird name. That is Zig Ziglar." And I put it in my pocket, and I didn't know who he was until 20 years later. That's not a word of a lie.
Way.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I forget your question now. I just got on the tangent there. I
Okay,
apologize.
yeah, you were talking about your book, more
Oh yeah.
like how you write it and
So I couldn't write the book until that time. So I met with this writing group and I said, I want to write a book. And they're like, why? Oh, because I write stories and people think I've been kind of a writer. I was a columnist in a magazine for a few years, and I've been a writer on and off. And I said, because I want to write. And during COVID, people were home and they were depressed and having a hard time and, were really social human beings. So I started writing stories and posting them on Facebook, and people would comment, geez, that story made me smile today. That made me happy. I thought, that's what I want. I want people to be happy. I didn't really want to, I didn't care about selling books. I thought, whatever, I just want to make people happy. So I met with this writing group and I said, I want to write my book. And they're like, what's it about? Oh, it's all about my life. And I just want to write all the happy stuff. And the people in the group said to me, Jody, nobody's going to read that book. That book is going to be so boring. No one's going to read that book. You have to write the bad stuff and the good stuff. And I said, I don't really want to write bad stuff. They're like, oh, I'm telling you right now, you can write the book, but not with our group. If you're going to write a true story, then write a true story. So I started writing it, and full disclosure, Arl, I was really nervous about writing about my kid's mother because I didn't want to disparage her and see them be upset. So I struggled with that whole divorce part of the book. And the people in the writing group really helped me with that. And as I got more and more, into the book and writing and stuff, it felt quite therapeutic to write. And they tell you
hmm,
that when you're going through hard times is to journal and write things,
yeah.
whether you publish it or not. Well, I'm not a bad writer, and so I was writing, and this writing group's like, "That's really great stuff. Keep going, keep going." So I kept writing and writing, and over 4 months, I wrote the book, and the people in the group have read it, and a tremendous amount of people have read it since that time. And it's funny what they say. They say, you know what? Your book shows us so much about resilience. And I'm surprised you're such a happy go lucky guy, considering all the terrible things that have happened to you. And, but you know what? It's good because, and this really is the key. Aro, I went to college 40 years ago with a bunch of farm boys, and a lot of them are still farming here. And one of them saw my book and picked it up and read it and called me and said, Jody, I want you to come out. His name is Jeff. I want you to come out and I want to talk to you about your book. I thought it was so great, so impressive. Okay. So I drove out to see him. And this guy, it all looks good from the road. He has a beautiful wife. He has 4 kids. He has 7 or 8 farms. They're highly successful, very profitable. He's a handsome guy. His parents are still alive. They all farm together. His kids farm with them. It all looks good. And I sat down with him, and in the first 5 minutes, he started talking and telling me his struggles. And he would stop about every half an hour and say, we're going to talk about your book. We're going to talk about your book, but I just got to tell you this. And then another half an hour passed. And he's like, and I'm not saying I had it as bad as you, but, and another half an hour, and another half an hour, and another. And then it was 2.5 hours. And he's like, I got to go, Jeff. And he's like, but we haven't talked about your book yet. I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. He had to read my book to have the courage to share the struggles
Yeah.
he was having. And the key message is that mental health in agriculture and mental health in the world, in particular with men, is a real problem. Men are portrayed on television and stereotyped in culture as we suck it up, we don't cry, we just be men, we work and we do stuff and we don't complain. And so, but we're not like that. We're not robots. You have to be vulnerable and you have to accept once in a while that things aren't going well and put your hand up and say, this isn't right and I need help. And that's what the book has done. It's allowed people to share their own stories and share their own vulnerabilities. And people are like, you know what?
Wow.
Your book was so real. Like it's so real.
Wow.
I don't think I'd want to live your life, but I'm so glad you wrote it. I really enjoyed it, and I felt inspired at the end of it, which is what you want. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for your story. It was very, very interesting. I think it's the fact that you write about the, how will I say it now, the ups and downs, and how you were able to overcome those various stages, which was really, really profound, because when people actually read your stories, especially the fact that it was both ups and downs, yeah, they will see themselves through those lenses. And when people actually read your book, owing to the ups and downs that mirror in the book, they will get to see their life at various stages mirrored through your stories. And in that very particular point, to give them this layer of understanding that, wow, I'm not alone. And just feeling that I'm not alone,
Oh,
it's actually more like very energetic. Because I think I was reading a particular history book,
I'm
and
not
it was
sure
making
what
reference
happened
about,
there.
I think, was it Abraham Lincoln? Yes, I think he was. He actually wanted to talk to someone. He called someone and he said he actually have something to discuss with the person. And when the person showed up in his office, he was not going to talk about asking him questions and asking for his advice. All he just talked was complain and reason everything he was thinking in his mind. And after he was done, he told the guy that yes, he's done. He didn't ask for advice, but just more like dump everything he actually want to say at that particular moment, and then let go. Because I think sometimes it's very, very key having something like more like a meta model where you can actually just discuss or read a particular book that make you reflect those particular journeys, and owing to this journey, you are not seeing yourself in the better light that I'm not alone. Since the person have gone through this and was able to overcome, I too can go through it and overcome. And that was really amazing.
Surround yourself with good people. Secondly, try to learn from your situation that you're in, but always be open to look for other opportunities, And so, I think it's important. Like, my children are not children anymore; they're all adults. But some of them are in jobs they don't like. And I'm like, yeah, I appreciate you don't like your job. There's times when I don't like my job either, but you can either accept it and work on improving it, or you can accept the fact that this job is not for you. And as soon as you find another job,
Mm.
then you can leave this one. And when the next one is not going so well, you can always reflect back and go, you know what? I didn't like that. I don't like this right now, but you know what? It's not as bad as that last job. So I guess I'm learning, and that's really what it is. Is life is about continuous learning and trying to grow as people. And one thing about the internet, it provides a phenomenal resource for information. I mean, if you
Yeah.
the thing is, if you get a new role, don't wait for people to train you on things. Depending on what it is. I mean, if you're a medical professional, you can hardly just Google how to be a surgeon. But if you're
Yeah.
selling something, you should learn all you can about your product and everybody else's product that you're selling against, and that's not just going to happen magically. You have to dig in and not go to the bar at 7 o'clock at night and drink beer with your friends, or not sleep in till 8 o'clock in the morning.
Mm.
You have to wake up early and you have to dig in and learn this stuff. You're responsible for your own success, so
Mm.
take responsibility for it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jody, for that particular advice. I think it's going to be for those our new entrepreneurs who are just starting out. That's yeah, beyond the working hour, you need to work on that particular work of yours to learn more, because things get better when you know more about the trade you are doing, about the things you are doing. There are a whole lot of resources out there. So knowing more will be more like a big leverage. Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, so for our more like listener who are trade people who just want to start out, because sometimes, especially those who are starting out, they have these usually big visions of what could be done, what could be accomplished, and owing to that, they start out with some certain kind of traits which may not ensure that their longevity in the particular trade they are into. So, more of if you were to give an advice to a young entrepreneur who is just starting out, more like what would be your advice to them?
Yeah, I think, and again, maybe this is a North American thing and not the rest of the world, but
Yeah,
there seems to be and sounds terrible, but I'm just going to say it anyway. There seems to be somewhat of a slide on how hard you want to work. There seems to be a bit more like, you owe me a job, and I'm here, so pay me, and I'll do as little as I have to. I'm not going to go anywhere above. I'm never going to look for work. I'm not going to take my own initiative. I'm just going to put my head down and do what I'm told and not do anything else. And I'm sorry, that's not good enough. You have to be willing to grow as a person, and you have to show your boss that you're willing to grow. So if you're in a trade, I tell people that work in those type of operations, is there's only two things your boss wants to hear. Yes, as in, yes, I can do that, or yes, I'll do this, or yes, or I don't know how to do that, but I want to learn. Can you
yeah,
show me? And as long as they're not asking you to do things that are unreasonable or unethical or illegal or dangerous, then those are your answers. Yes, and I don't know how, but show me how. That's it. You say those two answers to your boss, you won't find a boss who doesn't love you and think you're the greatest worker ever. Because what they normally hear is, it's not my job, or geez, that sounds pretty
yeah,
hard, or I don't want to do that. And
yeah.
sorry, that's just not good enough. So that's a situation.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And the fact that you're working in agriculture, I want to ask something related to agriculture now. Where did you see the biggest opportunity in trade people in agriculture, in that particular industry? Do you see any big opportunity for them, especially those who are in agriculture, owing to the fact that technology is shaping the future in farming and production? So, is there still an opportunity for those who are into farming?
Yes, for sure there is. I mean, there's a lot of automation and AI and GPS technology and all these new technologies. are improving automation and making farming more efficient. But at the end of the day, it still takes people to run machines. It still takes people to work in barns.
Yeah.
And there's still a lot of opportunities out there. And all you need to do is find your place to start and keep working hard and grow from there. And there certainly is a tremendous opportunity. The world is needs more food production, and we are kind of in the breadbasket of the world where I'm from in North America. So there's never going to be really not an agricultural industry there. We're always going to struggle. It's going to go up and down. It
Yeah.
always does. Nothing is perfect,
Yeah.
but there's always opportunity there if you really want to work hard and to find your place. There's jobs are different. The jobs are different. 30 years ago, there was a lot more manual labor type jobs. Now
Mm.
they're not. Now they're running systems or running people or managing systems or managing people, and that's the truth. But there's still lots of opportunity there.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jody. It has been a lovely experience. Interview you, not just more like interviewing for my guest alone, but me having to see the whole lot of blueprint of what it means like to go through a whole lot, feeling the will I say some of those moments I'm like, wow, I don't even know what I would have done if I was to be in that particular position. It was really amazing having to hear your stories and in fact that day actually left with a particular quote too, because that still resonates with that particular storyline that I have, that the land looked green at the other side, not
It
knowing
does.
that it's the watering from the other side that actually caused those grass to be green. Not just it's a danger of single story getting to see that things are perfectly for them. For me, it's not. It's actually a danger. So it's really amazing you having to share those stories. And
Yeah, my book is called Country Boy Soul.
okay,
It's on Amazon. It's on Amazon in various versions. So there's an Audible version. So there's you can just listen to me for 9 hours. That's a lot of Jody for 9 hours, but you can listen to that. Or there's a Kindle version of it, or there's a soft cover or hardcover. I also have a YouTube channel. So on the YouTube channel, I've done some presentations at various industry association meetings and for charitable events. And so you can look at that as well. That's always some good content there. And so that's kind of the story of the book, really. I would say if people want to reach out to me, I also do sales training for agricultural industry. So if somebody's interested in sales training, I can provide that as well. I really love sales. It's funny.
wow.
It's funny how my life has changed, but now I am a true sales dog. I love chase. I love the chase
You don't consider
almost more than
say it again as the least button, knowing to how daddy put it.
exactly.
uh, yeah, amazing. So more like if they are going to reach out to you directly, because your book now look more of, apart from the fact that they will see themselves through those blueprints, it's look more like more like a counseling book, being that they might be depressed and have a whole lot going in their life. So just reading it, they are going to have a whole lot of blueprints of yeah more like them saying that uh if I was to look at what Jody has actually passed at a particular phase, what would I have done, especially as I'm in this point now, which is very, very admiring and very, very lovely. So I want to know more like, is there any place where they can reach out to you personally, more like something you want them to reach out to you, whether you have any social media platform or anything at all? Is there
Yeah.
any?
Yes. So I'm on Facebook. You can
Okay.
find me, just Google my name, Jody Durand. I'm also on LinkedIn. So again, I've got a profile there. You can reach out to me there. So yeah, my phone number's in the book. You can just pick up the phone and call me. So
Oh, all right.
yeah.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, Judy. It was really lovely having this interview with you.
Thank you for sharing your journey with such honesty and energy. Your story is a proof that setback can be set up for greater purpose, and that resilience is built one step at a time. For everyone listening, if you want to dive deeper into Jody's journey, check out his book, Country Boy Soul. The link will be on the show notes. This is the Aro Benaiah Show, where we remind you that working with your hands can build a life of meaning and success. Until the next time, keep building, keep growing, and keep believing in your stories. Thank you.